Once upon a time, Polly ran frantically through the dark forest of fear and doubt until one day she slowed down enough to notice the trees were beautiful. The more she noticed the trees, the less she saw the darkness. She discovered she was in an olive grove rather than a forest. This is when she uncovered her magic truth. Polly's purpose is to shine in every way. Welcome to her manifesting success story. Hello and welcome to this interview. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with the amazing Paulie Rojas. Welcome, Paulie.
Hello, Cassie. So happy to be here with you today, of all days.
Me too. So let's just give listeners a little context because we do record these as things are happening. So this is March 23rd, 2020. And this is Polly's interview number 12 in her Years of Growth series. And this is the start. I know. So it's the start of your third series, which people are going to hear, which is awesome. So tell us what's awesome. I know, right?
I know. And you know what? I love the feeling that comes with, I was so afraid to do my first one with you. I didn't feel prepared. I didn't feel adequate to do a podcast. And then today I didn't feel prepared, but I just always trust that these are awesome.
Yes.
And I love that trust of, it's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's always fun to talk with you. So I noticed that about doing these. They get better. They get more and more fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. We were kind of talking before and I was saying to you, I knew when we started these series that it would be powerful. And even when I started, I really didn't know I was going to do it for years. I originally really was just a year. And now that we're entering, this is your third year, it's just, it is so much fun because that the depth adds fun. And you saying I just show up in trust, that even makes it more fun because it opens the space of where we can go and that we both just know it's going to be awesome and all of that fun stuff.
Yes. And I just had this big realization. It's my first interview with you as going back to my real name, Paulie Rojas, because before I was Paulie Rojas Redding, and I added the Redding to anglicize my name so that I wouldn't be so Latin.
Yes.
And I know we talked about this. So I feel like this is me. I'm just Paulie Rojas, simple interview. So it's nice to start off with just my simple real name, Paulie Rojas.
It is. I love everything about that. That it's it's you. It's just fully becoming you and being you in the world. And I love that you said simple because we talk about it a lot in the Enchanted Circle. Simple is more powerful. And
and I feel as we've discovered together is the truth is always simple.
Yes.
So even the simplicity of my name, it's my true name and it's simple. And all those words feel really, really good.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, all right. Well, we have so many fun things to talk about today. Let's, first I want to celebrate, we passed your 2-year anniversary. So I want to celebrate that you've been in the Enchanted Circle for more than 2 years, which is amazing.
Jeez. Yeah. And I feel the growth so much. And I also feel it went by so fast. Time, we always worry about time, but it just flew by. And I feel like a completely different person than when I first started.
I love that. And I'm going to put you on the spot. If you had to describe yourself in one word when you started and one word in this moment, what would those 2 words be?
The first word that came to mind was frantic. A lot of just frantic energy going all over the place, playing catch up and just not concentrated energy. And I think now the word I would use now is trusting. And I think it culminates in trusting. And
yes.
and so my intention is for like the next series, the next year of growth, I want my word to be inspired. Just like inspired. Yeah.
I love it. Frantic to trusting. And we know, I love how you just magically did that because you've been, like training yourself that, just even setting that intention is going to create that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's funny how the muscle memory of the work that we do together, before it was a little bit of, the discomfort of the uncertainty. And now there is no discomfort. It's like, it just is certainty. So not that there is no discomfort. I think it's good to have that because it means there's growth happening, but we get to the feeling quicker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's magical.
Yeah, it is. It is magical.
How much discomfort do you think you've had to go through? Because like you said, discomfort is not bad. And we talk about this all the time. Like the getting comfortable and the uncomfortable is just, that's what we do. It's a practice where like, just get comfortable there because there's going to be a lot of that. And so how much discomfort in terms of that do you think you've experienced in the last 2 years?
I can give you an example. So when we first started, the reason I came to you was because I'm like, Cassie, I shamefully admitting I want to be a movie star and saying like, but I want to say yes to all the projects. I want to book every part. I want to go, like, again, franticness. Just, I need to do this. I want to do this. And if I don't, I'm worried what will happen. And so that the discomfort started with you being like, okay, slow down, don't do anything. And that was like, it was agonizing because all I knew was action, 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 rejection, action, rejection. But maybe in the midst of like 1,000 things, I might possibly get a small yes. And so that showed up in speaking up with my manager, or how I showed up to auditions, or just simply like not saying yes to everything. And so now cut to I've attracted what is the greatest role of my life is happening, getting closer to closer, because I had to say no and step into all the discomfort and do what you told me to do. And then I got an offer to participate in a semi-fictional movie. And whereas I would have sat on this and worried about and agonized about saying, like, doing it, like I would have forced myself to do it because it's something. And this time, immediate, like I could question whether I wanted to do it, but the answer was no. And I knew it was no. And I didn't sit on the no. It was just, no, I don't want to do it. And then the discomfort for me, though, came in having to say no, like how to say no.
Yes.
And you said, just say no, thank you. And it's, again, going back to truth and simplicity. It was that simple. And it felt so good to do that. And again, because I worry, I still have the worry, what will people think of me? But like we coached together, you said, well, what can he say? You just said no, thank you. You didn't say your movie sucks, or it was just being true to myself and still have integrity and not put anybody down. So that's, I don't know if that was a good example, but
yes.
Yeah. But going from like agonizing back and forth and a lot of mind work to knowing my answer for me and my body, and knowing how to just trust that and simplify and say yes to what I really, really want and no to what I don't want.
Oh, that was such a beautiful example. And it's so true. Like so many points I want to make about it. Like that, I love that you said like feeling it in your body. And when you were so frantic, there was no room. I mean, I don't think there was room in your mind to say no either. Yeah. It's all head work, slowing down. Yeah. And then moving to this space where like, okay, I can feel it in my body. And the discomfort is like that. It's interesting, right? The discomfort in the beginning, if we kind of bring it down to this, was not taking action. And then the discomfort today was taking that action to say no, right?
Right. Yeah. But again, like very, very, very little action.
Yes.
Everything that is happening, and I feel like I always say this, but there's like no action involved. It's just it's just coming to me, and it's easy to say yes. It's so easy to say, like, or at least at the point where I know what I want deeply and in the future self way.
Yes, no action. I love that because it's so true. Everything is coming to you. And I think that's how would you, having sort of been through this process in the last 2 years, how would you, and it probably won't be perfect because we can only hear what we can hear, but looking back, like, how would you explain to that somebody who's in your shoes right now, who's like, I have to go get it. I have to go get it. And you're like, it just comes to me.
I think it gosh, that's such a I don't know how I mean I see you do it and it's amazing how you do it. How would I do it? It wouldn't be as eloquent.
Or just explain it to them, right?
Yeah. I would say, like, everything you told me, like, slow down, get aligned with like, know what you want, and have the work be to get into alignment.
Yeah.
And start building that trust muscle, and start just don't do anything. Trust that, like, when you don't do anything and you just get quiet and you get into the alignment and the receiving place, that things will start showing up, and it'll be. And I think that's where your assignments are so amazing. When we start, they're little things, that start shifting us. And then it's those tiny little steps of growth that build exponentially to where I can think like, oh, I feel like I want something, and it'll show up at your doorstep,
Yes.
So it's really amazing. Yeah. And it's funny that we do so much staying still, do nothing, be quiet, get into alignment, because that's what the world now has the opportunity for all of us to stay still and quiet and at home. And I really feel like it's the universe being like, guys, I'm giving you this opportunity, to literally do nothing, stay at home and just get quiet. So
yes,
it's crazy time, but really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. And and what I always imagine, like, as you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, somebody's writing a movie for Paulie. Like, that's what's happening right now, like,
oh my gosh, yes. They'll find me and I'll find them.
Yeah. Like, and I can just see this, like, retelling this beautiful story of, like, I was at home, and we know what role you're prepping for, and you're prepping for a role, and so you've adapted that to being at home, which is cool. And you said even before the call, you were like, feels like I'm doing more, I'm being, like, more prepared, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I feel like that is for one role, and yet someone is writing another role that you're also preparing for. You just don't know it yet.
I totally, and that's the thing. Before, I'd be like, really? Are you sure? How do you know?
Right?
And now I'm like, yep. Because we get the story that we tell ourselves. Yeah. And also, yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say we do. And I don't want that to pass, right? Like that which you're just like, oh yeah, like that's the magic. Like, you can believe in that without being like, well, how do you know? Or why do you think that? Or, like, you've come to that place where you're like, yep, I'll take one of those. I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take that story.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yep. We get to choose, which is the best part. And another thing I have practiced, because I see you do it as an example, is like, you always talk to us as like as our future selves already. So you're already there. Yeah. And so it brings out the best. And one of the examples is, I think someone on the call talked about, like, the Polly Pocket doll.
Yes.
And it was cute, so we Polly Pocket. And then you were like, oh yeah, and then all of us are going to have Polly in our pockets. And then you pulled out your phone, like, on Netflix or just on YouTube. And that, it blew my mind that like I could like cry about that. Like you see that, like you're so ahead of that. You always see us there. That it's like it's like what a way to love a person is by reflecting back all the possibilities that their future self can bring. Like it's just so, and I think that's why we have this community and why so many amazing things happen is because you as our leader just see that already, and it's just such a wonderful thing. And so I am conscious of seeing the best in people the way that you see our future selves, and because of that, I do. It's reflected back to me as well. But it's just such a wonderful thing to have to see the example of it and then go out into our own worlds and get to practice it.
Oh, yes. And I love that you brought up that story because that's how I see it. And it was just so like, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Like I'm going to see Paulie on like my Netflix app or my Hulu app or,
Yeah.
I love it.
It means so much that like, that you're that person in our lives that sees that, and it's not just like, oh, how cool. It's like, of course I'm going to see Paulie, in my pocket. And I'm grateful for it every day.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. There's so many great things we said in there. And I want to ask this question. How was I going to ask it? It was about, so what is the difference for you if you would explain it to somebody maybe who's just like starting or is in that spot you were? Like, what is like action is not alignment, but I think so often people think like, but I'm doing it. I'm trying so hard. I'm being that person. Like, how would you in this moment explain the difference between action and alignment?
So I think, and I don't think, I know that we've talked about it, but it's that the gripping, like you say no to it. You say no, 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 until you just can't not take the action. You have like everything in your body, like you feel pulled to do it. And you know how it feels because, like for example, this part that this person asked me to do, I was like, I don't know. But this part that I'm preparing for, I'm like, it was a yes that I think my ancestors felt, it was just so grand and powerful. And it just like, it's like beyond me. The yes is like pulling me towards it. So unless it feels good to do that, really, really good, don't do it. And what's beautiful about the things that we really want, the inspired things, is if we say no to the inspired things, they don't go away. They're going to come back even stronger to pull you that way. So there's no fear of saying no because it just makes the yes stronger and stronger. That is supposed to be a yes.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Yes. And that's the way it is. And it's like, I love hearing you explain it, and not just like this, like anyone listening can feel that you feel like, in your bones what that feels like and the truth of that. Right. Versus like just being like, oh, well, inspired action is supposed to feel like blah, blah, blah. Like you're like, no, like this is how it feels. So that was amazing to hear as your coach.
Oh, good. Oh, good. It really feels like flying. Like, I always get dreams of flying, but it feels like when I heard about this part happening or anything that surrounds this part, it's this like, like a breath that lifts you up into the air, and makes you want to get up and dance. And so now I know what that's like. And even when it's not like as big of a yes, I know the momentum, where the momentum goes when it's meant to be a yes. And it's so easy to feel like having that as, as an example. It's so easy to feel when it's not supposed to be a yes, because it's heady and it's again frantic and there's doubt and there's and it's not exciting. So it's really and the more I've practiced it, the bigger the bigger the knowing is.
Yeah, say a little bit more about that.
Well, when I first came to you, I had my name, I think, was Paulie Rojas Redding, that I had added on my own. And you talked about just being Paulie Rojas, and I felt that way too. But then I was like, but what if people only see me as Hispanic and I won't get to play all the European people that I want to, all these different parts. Like, what if I'm just a Latina, which I love, but I don't want to be limited by anything.
Right.
And I remember like bringing it up to my manager, and my manager was like, just, go be yourself in your room. You're Paulie Rojas writing. Just keep it, And I asked so many people, what do you think about my name? And then this time, I went on my 2-month trip, and I just knew. I've always known it was Paulie Rojas. I went to see my manager for something different, and at the end, I was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to be Paulie Rojas." And he was like, "Well, I think it's a mistake, but okay." And it was like, it was a 10-second conversation that took me, the 3 years or the 2 years I've been with you, But this time it didn't matter what he thought. It was, this is who I am. And he responded with, "Okay, fine. Like, suit yourself." Right. And I know it's fine, and it's better than fine because it's my name. But that's an example of things that are so much quicker. And the same with relationships, like with my family. I really have the best relation, and it wasn't ever an easy it wasn't always good times with all of my family, but at least with my mom, my brother, my sister, we have the greatest relationship because I don't go to them for validation or, I had a teacher call it like I was like a leaky bucket. Like, they would be like, "You're great, Paulie." And I'm like, "But are you sure?" Now I just go with like, of course I'm great. Everyone's great, but I know I'm great. And then it's just turned, now they come to me for validation or anything. Like I'm someone that can help and can be held accountable and can be responsible for them. So that itself is such a massive transformation. I was such a needing little insecure person, and now I feel like I can lead them too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It just makes my heart sing.
And I'm amazed. Yeah. I mean, it really is such powerful work that we do, and in every aspect, So I'm so grateful.
Amazing. How does it feel to walk around as that person? Like, I'm the person who can be held accountable. Like all the good things that you just said, I was like, they flew through me because I was just like enjoying the moment so much. But like,
I love knowing that I'm, that no matter what, I'm going to be okay. So if I walk down the street and something happens, I know that I can be someone that can be of value or of use, or maybe my use is not be there and turn around and go the other way. But someone that can, I think I can, for example, if there's like a crazy accident and I'm in, and I see it, I know that I can go and help another person by calling an ambulance. Like I wouldn't panic because I know everything is always going to be okay.
Yeah.
Or I know enough that maybe my way of helping is to get out of the way.
Yeah.
So no matter what, I know that, and I think it's part of that inspiration, right? Like I know if I should get involved or just step aside. Yes. And a lot of times it's step aside, don't do anything, like just don't get in the way of myself and others. So it feels like I'm part of something, like I'm with the universe. I'm in flow, and other people will benefit, not just me, but other people, which is what I've always wanted. But it's funny how we always feel like we have to help other people for us to feel good, but it's always starting with ourselves feeling good and then being able to help everybody else. A lot of things are counterintuitive, but now, now I know.
Yeah. Oh, that was so amazing and beautiful. And I love it. Yeah. And it's so true. Like, and it's just, if you're listening to this, like, just soak that in, like, let that, even if you don't quite get it yet, like, let it just sort of soak in and open up some new neural pathways that are like, okay, yeah, we can see this different. We can open to this version of how I walk down the street. It's like, because it's just, that's the way it is. Like sometimes it's to help someone and sometimes it's just to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Both
and
are
either
powerful.
way you're helping.
Exactly. Either way you're helping. Yeah. Everyone get what they need and what they want. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, this just popped up, but
Yeah.
I was listening to your podcast with Jenny about um, like with your partner and how everybody always gets what they want.
Yes.
And I was talking to my brother about maybe coming to be with him in Virginia for the quarantine. And it was going to be like my boyfriend and maybe a couple friends because he has a big house there. And I called him. He's like, yeah, you and Luke, of course, but not your friends. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm not going to fight this. I'm just going to say, yeah, totally. Let me see what happens. I could have been like, but wait a minute. You're being selfish. You have a big house, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
But instead I was like, yeah, you're totally right. Got it. And I hung up. And then of course, 5 minutes later, he's like, actually, I would love for all of you guys to come down and be with me. And it's like, oh, that's so great. He got what he wanted, and then we both aligned and we both got what we wanted. I don't know if we will be able to go down there, but it was more just not going into the conflict and the ickiness and just letting it be. And then of course I did nothing. And he calls and is like, yeah, I'd love for you guys to come down. Giving him the space, and I got the space too. So
yeah,
it's cool. It's so cool to put it into practice.
Yes.
It can be tricky, but it's great when I finally realize how well it always works. It always works.
That's amazing. I love that story. It's such a good example. Everybody always gets what they want.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. And speaking of even getting, I think, beyond what you want, you had an experience a couple weeks ago where
oh my gosh,
you had an amazing day. And so I want you to tell us about that.
Oh, I would love to. So I do these amazing voiceover jobs where we do audio replacement for background work from anything from movies to TV shows. And I love these because, I've worked on a Woody Allen movie and it's, so much evidence there. And so this time it was a series that takes place in France. And they called us to do a voiceover, and they were like, by the way, you have to do it in French. I'm like, okay, this is great. I can speak French. I can do this. So we get there, and the guy who was directing all the voiceover work goes, you guys are going to make so much money today, you could buy a car. And I was like, what? That's what? I thought maybe, I don't know if he was talking to the engineers, but not, us, the actors.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that the director wanted to do 10 episodes in a day. So we would get paid $1,000 for each of those 10 episodes. So we ended up making $10,000 in less than 8 hours. And I was
amazing.
The entire day, I was like, I cannot wait to tell Cassie and the Enchanted Circle. This is insane because we talk about manifesting 10K. We have 90 days, and this was less than 8 hours. I just thought of course this happened. And there were actors coming in and out throughout the day, but there was only one other guy and me who stayed the entire day and got the 10 episodes. So I was just, it would have been great if I was just, speaking English, but I feel like it was kind of fun that the universe was like, yeah, but you're going to speak French because I know you want to be completely fluent in French. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it's funny that my highest paying job in a day has been for a French role.
Yes.
Something I've always wanted. And I wasn't sure if I could do, but then here we are. So it's just amazing.
So amazing. And so amazing when all those things come together, right? Practicing $10,000 and then boom, in a day. And the universe giving you this opportunity to practice speaking French all day because this is something that you've wanted.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Oh, it was so cool. And on top of that, I was I knew I talked about you for my public speaking clients to have them join me for a year to do a year commitment. And I just thought it was a way to make a lot of money sooner and then figure it out. But when I made the $10,000 in a year or in a day, I was like, oh my God, what am I thinking? I don't want to commit for a year for the same price,
Yeah.
So, yeah, or less. So I was like, yep, I needed that. I don't want to talk to anybody about, a year commitment. It doesn't make sense. What made sense was making $10,000 in a day.
Oh, so many things I love about this. First of all, I always love when I get to hear the little pieces, which we haven't talked about this, so it's super fun.
Yeah.
But this is such a great example of going with what feels good and like allowing yourself to be changed and upgraded instead of trying to control it. Right? Because what felt good, and the reason we came up with a year and these things is because, you know, you wanted to up level who you're working with. Like it was all in alignment with who you are and who you're becoming. And then you just got this like, oh, there's totally another way, you know? And it just like, the clear yes and the clear no, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, what happened after that was with public speaking. I got 3 jobs to work with entrepreneurs, just 3 events that paid me about the same amount. And it was just 3 events, like 3 days.
That's awesome.
All events got the highest rating of their, like, it was Albany, New York, and Boston. They got standing ovations and they got the highest rated event of their organization of the year. So I was like, oh, this is great. You know, I'm selective and it's only going to be the best. So again, one of the affirmations you give us is, like, I am the beacon, or I bring out the best in people. Yeah. I am the lighthouse. Yeah. And so being able to, again, not have frantic energy, just take any job, but just do those 3 selective jobs, focus my energy and help other people. And then you got the best of the best all together. And I got some really amazing speakers.
That is amazing. And reminds me of something else I want to make sure we share. So you are in the Enchanted Business Circle, which we're adapting to acting, and I love.
Yes, I do too.
It's so fun. And there was an assignment where we write some testimonials and we do things. And you actually, I loved when you got on the call and you were like, I got the exact testimonial I had written.
Yeah, it's exactly. And it was exactly what I'd written. Was like, I forget the entire thing. But
you were amazing. I mean, the basic.
Yeah, she brought out the best in us, and they loved working with Paulie, and we got the highest rated event. I want to make sure she works this again so that we are insured to continue having the best reviewed event of the year. I was like, oh, well, thank you.
Yes.
But it's just so funny how that, and with public speaking, I'm so detached to it that I didn't even want that. I wasn't even looking for that, but that's what ended up happening. So,
yes.
That's pretty cool.
That is very cool. And I love how many of those are practice for the words of your future self too, right? Like Paulie made the event, made the role, made the movie, right? There's just like, you just slip other words and it's completely your actor future self. So it's just like also getting that practice and opening up on a different level where you said, where it's detached, right? Which is great practice, to practice getting these things in this space where it doesn't feel so big. And yet you get to practice and you're getting all of the same words. It's just with minor tweaks will be about acting in your future self.
Right. And I love, because I know this is where my work is not attaching meaning to anything with acting. The way I'm detached with public speaking, and it goes so well, is the practice, like you said, for the same thing, for anything. But especially because that's what I want for acting. And on today's call earlier, it was so great that we talked about, like, we have good news and leaving it at that, or something good happened, and it's a choice to not say this is something good, but right. So I could say, like, yeah, I got a great review, but it was for public speaking. To say, oh, I got an amazing review, and that's it, because then we move forward on what we want and then move in that direction. So that was really big for me today.
Yay. And and you and I feel like you did do a lot of that when you shared. It was like, I got this great review, and it was the excitement was about having created it and paved the way as much as it was like what it sort of was attached to, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just love doing this work with you.
I love doing this work with you. I love seeing you grow. And so I want to know, what are you excited about? We know what your intention is, right? That your word next year will be inspired. What else are you excited about in the next year of how you grow and become?
I am so excited of like where my skill set will be next year. So I'm back in ballet, and I'm still doing the French, and next year I would love to. I'm excited to where how like I know how I want to be in ballet, and I know the level of fluency I want to be in French and also in Italian, and I'm so excited of the things that I'll be able to do, and also being on stage next year to with a large audience, a professional large audience, and the connection that I'll have with an audience. I'm so and the fact that it'll be an inspired connection. It won't be contrived. It'll just be a really wonderful, beautiful connection with not just the audience, but I think all the people that will come into my life. You know?
Yes. Oh, that's amazing and beautiful, and what an amazing story to write for the next year. So awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, like I mentioned, I feel my growth, like it was so slow at first, and like just so, and now it's like, it just feels like there's so much more flow, and there's joy in the growth now too. So I'm so excited to see how that is going to show up, like how the growth shows up mentally as I continue my work with you.
Oh, yay. Me too.
Yeah. Like, how could you not be a badass,
Right.
Just when you're practicing this every day,
Yes. I love it. Tell everyone where they can follow your journey on Instagram, just who you are.
Yeah. So for sure. So you can go to my handle, which is Paulie, PAULIE _Golightly. GOLIGHTY, and it's a play on words of Holly Goodlightly. It's with Paulie.
I love it. Awesome. Any other final words or things on your heart that you want to share today as we wrap up?
Oh, I have so many things on my heart, but mostly just so, especially now being at home, having you in our lives, in my life, and the support that you bring, I feel like I hit the jackpot. So, and I did, actually. Yeah. So I'm really just so grateful for you and the people that you have attracted to be in the community.
Amazing. I am so grateful you are here. And also both in the community and doing these interviews to just be that beacon of what's possible and what it looks like, just giving someone, that just might need the way you say it to see what it's like to let go and what it's like to allow instead of force and all of those things. So thank you for sharing this moment in your journey with us.
Thank you, Cassie.
My pleasure. Thank you all for joining us, and make sure to come back and check out what's awesome in Paulie's life next time. The telling of stories is so powerful, both to the person telling it and the person receiving it. Since 30,000 BC, we as humans have told stories to teach and guide. And now we, with Manifesting Success Stories, hope to inspire you to what is possible in your own life. If you want more manifesting success, go to moremanifestingsuccess.com, where you'll find links to anything we've talked about on the show. Thank you for joining us today, and remember, you have the power to write your own happy ever after.